In Thursday Night Football, the New York Giants are hosting the Dallas Cowboys, a rivalry that's been dominated by one side, and that's Dallas. Dak Prescott has won 12 of the past 14 matchups against the Giants. Daniel Jones is 1-7 when playing the Cowboys. There's not a lot of success for the Giants and an overwhelming amount of success for Dallas. But understanding that and knowing that, I still believe the Giants will win this game tonight against Dallas. Dallas has the worst rush defense in the entire NFL. This will allow the Giants to have a balanced offensive attack. Devin Singletary is a good running back. Gray's been solid. Daniel Jones will be able to use his legs to extend plays, escape the pocket, be mobile, and allow for this rushing game to really come into effect. As far as the secondary goes, sure, the numbers might look somewhat decent when you look at a statistical standpoint, but the reality of the situation is Dallas is struggling against the pass. Derek Carr put on a masterclass. They dropped 40 points on Dallas. He threw for 240 something yards. Lamar Jackson only threw the ball 15 times and had 180 total passing yards. The Cowboys secondary is very vulnerable, just like their front seven is against the run. The Giants have a good quarterback in Daniel Jones. Now, is he an elite quarterback? Not necessarily, but neither is Derek Carr. Okay. And if Derek Carr can have that amount of success, and if Lamar Jackson can have the amount of success he had with a very mid to below average receiving core, Daniel Jones is going to have success moving the ball because he has a very special talent. Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton are very underrated wide receivers, very good wide receivers, and they're going to have success in the passing game and in the rushing game. Now you look at the defense side of the ball, offensively for the Dallas Cowboys, they have a good offensive line. I'll give them credit. Guyton's good, Zach Martin's good, Cooper Beebe's good. But the front seven of the Giants is also very strong, and they're finally coming into their own. Brian Burns had a forced fumble against Cleveland, who has a good offensive line. Remember that. Cleveland has a good offensive line. He has success. Kayvon Thibodeau had success. Dexter Lawrence is one of the best defensive tackles in the entire National Football League. Dallas can control the line of scrimmage, but I don't think they're going to have success moving the ball in the rushing game. And they also don't have a wide receiver, too, outside of CeeDee Lamb. That's the only guy they got. So I really think the Giants at home will have success and beat Dallas. And I also think this game is going to be a sign of what's to come for both sides. The Giants, a sign of hope, a sign of a future. Daniel Jones got signed to a 164-year contract, and it was the right decision to do so. The way the guaranteed money worked out, it was a smart decision by the New York Giants. And I think this year is going to allow for Jones to finally prevail and have success. He's finally has an offensive line that can keep him upright, something he never had before. He has a true wide receiver one in Malik Neighbors, who looks like the second coming of Randy Moss after he mossed Cleveland and then had a toe-dragging touchdown in the end zone the following play. He looks incredible. Wan'Dale Robinson is a good wide receiver too. Like I said, the O-line is really strong. And I think they have a nice offensive attack running the ball with Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy, Gray. They have some good players in the backfield. Not necessarily Saquon Barkley, as we all know, but solid players. And I think Daniel Jones is going to have a great season. He's going to make it difficult in the front office to decide whether to draft a player or not, because I think he's going to lead them to a good record. Right now, the Giants should be 2-1. They just didn't have a kicker week 2. So the Giants are going to have a lot of success this game, and it's going to be a sign of things to come. I think Jones is going to throw for possibly around 3,800 yards this season. I think they're going to look really strong offensively, and defensively, they have one of the better defenses in the NFL, especially when Adoree Jackson comes back healthy. They have a really good team. Now, as far as Dallas goes, I said it from the jump. They're going to be the team in the NFC that's going to regress the most. They lost a lot of players on their team offensively and defensively, and they didn't do anything to improve their roster or make up for the losses aside from the offensive line. They drafted Cooper Beebe. They drafted Guyton, who are really good offensive linemen, filling well on the O-line, but they don't have a wide receiver two outside of CeeDee Lamb. They don't have a receiver outside of CeeDee Lamb. That's good. In the backfield, they have Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott. They're fine, nothing special. Defensively, they lost some key players in the secondary. Deron Bland's also out with an injury. They have one guy, Trayvon Diggs, who knows if he's really going to be able to anchor this defensive secondary. One man can't do it all. Dallas lost a lot. They lost their defensive coordinator, a guy who knows how to scheme things up in Dan Quinn, a great head coach. I like Mike Zimmer, but he hasn't had success with Dallas. They beat Cleveland, but really Cleveland right now seems like the punching bag of the NFL. They haven't been great. After that, Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson dominated them offensively. They ran the ball down their gut, and they moved the ball really well when they did pass. Dallas looks like a shell of himself. And it's going to be a sign of the future this year. Dallas isn't going to have success. After this game, they play at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They hosted the Detroit Lions. They played the Falcons. They played the Texans. They played a couple other great teams. And they look like they're going to win four. They're going to lose 4 or 5 of their next games. Dallas is not going to do well. Was it the right decision signing Dak Prescott to $60 million per year? I think it's hard to not keep him around. I think it was ultimately the right decision, but now they need to cut losses elsewhere with Dak Prescott there. I think Zach Martin has to go. They'll get a good draft pick in the first round. Second round, they're going to have to send the draft. They clear up salary somehow. And maybe that means moving off of Micah. I don't know what's going to be going on in the future of the Dallas Cowboys. But one thing I do know for sure is that this game is going to be a representation of this season. It's going to be a season of regression, a year where they miss the playoffs, and they're not going to have success like they expect. You guys let me know your thoughts. Who wins this game? Is Dallas going to be good this year? Are the Giants going to be underrated? Please let me know. I appreciate you guys so much for listening. Please subscribe. Thank you.